The night was darker than Emily had ever imagined. Rain poured down like endless tears from the sky, drenching her hair, soaking her dress, but she kept running. Her heels clicked sharply against the empty pavement, echoing like a desperate cry for freedom. She didn't care where she was going. She only knew she had to get away from the lies, from the people who wanted to control her life, from the suffocating walls that had trapped her heart for too long. When she reached the corner of the street, headlights blinded her eyes. A sleek black car, polished and dangerous like a panther, slowed down in front of her. She didn't think, didn't hesitate. She yanked the door open and slipped inside, gasping for breath. "Please," she whispered to the driver, her voice trembling. "Just drive." The car didn't move. Instead, a deep, steady voice broke through the sound of the rain. "Do you even know whose car you've just hijacked?" Emily turned her head, her wet hair clinging to her flushed cheeks. Her heart stopped. The man in the driver's seat wasn't a stranger. It was him, Adrian Blackwell, the notorious CEO who was feared by competitors and admired by everyone else. His sharp jawline, piercing grey eyes, an air of unshakable power filled the confined space. He looked at her as though she were a puzzle he had every intention of solving. I'm sorry," Emily stammered, gripping the seat. "I thought—" "You thought what?" His voice was smooth, yet it carried a steel edge, that you could just climb into any car in the middle of the night and vanish into thin air. Her lips parted, but no words came. All she could feel was his gaze, heavy and unrelenting. There was no kindness in his eyes, but there was something else, curiosity, danger, a spark that unsettled her more than the fear chasing her. Adrian leaned back in his seat, one hand loosely gripping the steering wheel. "You chose the wrong car, sweetheart." The words should have terrified her, yet they sent a strange thrill through her veins. Emily pressed herself against the leather seat, her pulse racing. She had no idea why fate had led her here, into his world, but deep down, a quiet voice whispered that this was only the beginning. And as the car finally pulled away into the night, Emily realized she hadn't escaped at all. She had just stepped into a different kind of trap, one far more dangerous, because it was made of fire, desire, and a man who never let go of what caught his attention. Emily had never felt so out of place. The elevator ride up to Adrian Blackwell's penthouse felt like an eternity, her soaked dress clinging to her trembling body. She had begged him to let her out, but he hadn't listened. His silence was louder than thunder, and the steel in his eyes told her resistance was useless. When the elevator doors opened, she stepped into a world that took her breath away. The penthouse was vast, its walls made of glass revealing a glittering skyline. The storm raged outside, lightning flashing across the sky, but inside, everything gleamed with luxury. Marble floors, golden accents, shelves stacked with books and rare art. It was like stepping into another universe. Adrian tossed his jacket onto a chair and loosened his tie. His movements were unhurried, deliberate, like a predator circling its prey. "You should change out of that wet dress," he said flatly, as if offering a command, not a suggestion. Emily clutched her arms around herself. "I'm not staying here," she muttered, though her voice lacked conviction. Adrian's lips curved into the faintest smirk. "You already are." Hours passed. Emily tried to keep her distance, pacing by the window, staring out at the rain. But her eyes kept drifting back to him. He sat in a leather armchair, glass of whiskey in hand, studying her as though she were the most fascinating enigma he had ever encountered. Finally, she broke the silence. "Why didn't you throw me out?" He leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. "Because you're not like them." "Them, the women who claw their way into my world. They want my money, my power, my name. But you—" His gaze darkened. "You didn't even know whose car you jumped into. You're running from something, and I want to know what." Her chest tightened. She wanted to deny it, but the truth lay in her silence. She was running, yes, but why did it matter to him? Emily tried to ignore the strange warmth spreading through her chest. He was dangerous, controlling everything she should fear. Yet she couldn't shake the way his words lingered, the way his eyes seemed to pierce right into her soul. That night, as the storm quieted, she lay awake in the guest room. The city glittered below and her mind spun. Adrian Blackwell should have been a nightmare, but against all reason, her heart whispered that she had stepped into something far more complicated. Morning sunlight filtered through the tall windows, but Emily didn't feel free. She moved quietly, careful not to wake him. If she could just slip away, vanish before he noticed, maybe she could pretend this night had never happened. Her fingers brushed the doorknob. Just one turn and she'd be gone. But before she could move, a shadow loomed behind her. A hand slammed against the wall inches from her head, trapping her. Adrian's voice, low and dangerous, slid down her spine like silk and steel. "You won't get away." Her breath caught. She turned slowly, finding herself caged between the wall and his broad frame. His eyes, sharp and unyielding, held her captive. "Why are you doing this?" she whispered. "Because I don't let go of what's mine," he said simply. Her heart raced. "I'm not yours." His gaze softened just slightly, though his grip never faltered. "Not yet." The intensity in his voice unsettled her. Part of her wanted to scream, to demand freedom. Yet another part, deep, buried, frightening, thrummed with heat under his stare. He was too close, too intoxicating, and for one reckless second, she wondered what it would feel like if he kissed her. Adrian leaned closer, his lips near her ear. "Run all you want, Emily, I'll always find you." Her knees weakened, and she hated herself for the way her body betrayed her. His dominance frightened her. Yet it awakened something she had long buried, the ache of being seen, of being desired, of being wanted with such intensity it left no room for doubt. That morning, Emily didn't escape, and deep down she wasn't sure she wanted to. The days blurred together. What began as a trap slowly transformed into something Emily couldn't name. Adrian, though ruthless in business, revealed sides of himself she hadn't expected. He showed her his world, not with commands but with quiet invitations. Rooftop dinners under the stars, moments where he'd set his phone aside and just listen, evenings when he shared stories about his lonely childhood. Each time he opened up, the steel in his eyes softened, and Emily saw not a monster but a man. One night, standing on the rooftop, the city lights shimmering below, he reached for her hand. His touch was hesitant, almost unsure. "You're the first person who makes me feel alive," he admitted, his voice raw. Her chest ached. She should have pulled away. Instead, she let him hold her hand, her heart betraying her resolve. For the first time, she wondered if she was falling, not into danger, but into him. But love was never simple. Emily's past came back to haunt her. Old debts, old enemies, shadows that wouldn't let her go. Adrian tried to shield her, but his methods suffocated her. His control, once intoxicating, now felt like chains. "You can't lock me away and call it love," she cried, tears streaming down her face. Adrian's jaw tightened. "I'm protecting you." "No," she whispered. "You're trapping me." For the first time, she saw him falter. The unshakable CEO looked like a man on the verge of losing everything. Yet she walked away. Because love, she realized, wasn't supposed to feel like a prison. Days turned into torment for Adrian. For the first time in his life, power meant nothing. Deals, wealth, influence, they were worthless without her. He searched, not with commands, but with desperation. When he finally found her, he didn't corner her. He didn't demand. He simply stood before her, stripped of pride, his eyes bare. "I don't want to own you, Emily. I want to love you. Stay not because I force you, but because you choose me." Her heart broke open. This wasn't the cold CEO anymore. It was a man, raw and vulnerable. She touched his face, tears shining in her eyes. "This time," she whispered, voice trembling with love, "I choose you." And in his arms, she found the home she had been running from all her life.